Hello everyone, my name is Mirna and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. We have the great pleasure of having Rachel Silber today with us. We're going to be having a conversation about magic. And who is Rachel Silber? She is a speaker, author, change maker, but she emphasizes the fact that she's a mother, a friend, and a wife. Before starting with Rachel, we want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down this video, or sharing with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, when we live stream, we have an active chat. This is the screen you're going to see here on my side. We invite you to interact with us through there. Finally, please not only like this channel, but you can also like Mindalia Televisión for content in Spanish, where you're going to be able to see Rachel as well, and Mindalia Televisão in Portuguese. Let's not delay this any further, and I have now the great pleasure of introducing Rachel. Rachel, welcome to Mindalia. How are you?
Woo! Thank you. I'm very, very well. Coffee in hand, smile on my face, enjoying your company and enjoying everyone else that's going to be tuning in and ready to be magic.
Yes, tell me about it. So we had a previous conversation. We talked a lot about magic, about what magic is, the misconceptions we must have in this modern era of what magic is, but you are very well aware about what actually magic is. Please tell me a little bit about it.
Well, magic is not going to, see some illusion or being sawn in half or anything like that. Magic is actually you walking when you're willing to be all of you. And when I mean all of you, it's amazing. We were just speaking in our previous little conversation, maybe we'll do that in a different talk about bodies, about how miraculous and magical we truly are. We're not just this, we're actually infinite beings, and we're connected to anything and everything around us. Everything is interconnected. So if everything is interconnected and we're infinite beings, I don't know if anybody else kind of gets the concept that we could actually communicate with everything else and bring it into our lives or invite it to contribute to us or even contribute to it. We're living, breathing contributions if we're willing to be all of us. And that's what magic is. Magic is a play and an unfolding and a willingness to receive and to gift and to ask and to create magic as you're walking in the world in really silly ways and in really phenomenal ways too. I remember we were in Toronto it was the end of April, several years ago. It was the end of April, so people were already starting to, no jackets, short sleeves. And my kids came and said, oh, we're going to spend, a week with our cousins and with aunts and uncles there in Toronto. We'd like to see snow. We don't live in snow country. We live between Texas and Guatemala. So there's no snow here for the most part. But, going to Toronto, they wanted to see snow. And they said, we've got to see snow. Everyone there said snow season is over. No more snow. And I said, you know what, kids? What if we just ask? No point of view. No, it has to look a particular way. No being married to an outcome of it has to appear a particular way. But just ask, what would it be like if it snowed when we were in Toronto? Just wondering, how much fun would we have in the snow? What would be available in the snow? Notice I'm asking questions. Just wondering, not absolutely attached. It doesn't have to snow, but if it does, how cool would it be? And you know what? We let go of any expectations that we had. We asked questions about what would it be like. Well, we noticed that there were people who would be disappointed because it had been a long winter. We noticed that there were already little daffodils and tulip bulbs that were starting to sprout out of the, semi-frozen ground there in Canada. And we noticed that there may be disappointments around. So we started asking, well, what energy could we be that would be a contribution to all this, to none of it be damaged and still be able to enjoy snow? What would that be like? And it was funny because on the third night that we were in Canada, it began to snow. It was the first night of Passover. So we had a whole family gathering. And as soon as the nighttime Seder, the nighttime meal was over, it began to snow, which for 4 little kids running around was miracle above miracles. They suddenly got to see snow and play in it. And it wasn't enough to really, damage the daffodils or create anything like that, because it was a small amount. Now, this is just a silly little thing. It's just snow. But look at that. You can ask. Playfully, you can ask and you can receive. And when you're willing to be that playfulness walking, that's the magic of you, the curiosity of a child. When you're willing to be that, like, hey, what would it be like? Suddenly, these quantum entanglements in kind of bigger people talk begin to play with you, because you are asking. And you're asking all of these conscious molecules that are all around you, you being conscious molecule too, you being infinite being, and you begin to play, and you begin to invite, and you begin to encourage all of these magical things to begin occurring around you when you don't have a point of view as to how it has to look, where it has to come from, who it has to come from, how it has to show up. And when you recognize that you are the one who asked, and you say, wow, I created this. I asked this into existence. What else is possible now? So there's another key there too that I was coming up in the story. Recognize that you be it. Now, it was really funny because during the time we were in Toronto and it had snowed overnight, we took the kids sledding. Now, it wasn't that much snow, okay, but considering they're not from snow country, for them, it was fantastic. We built mini snow people and they got to sled and they wore snow gear and everything. They had a really, really good time. Couldn't really build like a massive snowman, but still, they had a really good time. And it was funny because it had stopped snowing. And on the radio, they were saying, oh, there won't be snow again until next year. And my kids looked at me and said, Mom, what are we going to do? It's going to melt too quickly. And we were driving in a car, and in the car, there was a temperature gauge for the outside and for the inside of the car. We were driving with my sister-in-law to where the kids could go sledding. And I said, okay, kids, we've got a little magical tool as well, not only asking and receiving, but there's something that we call an energetic contribution. Now, I'm an access consciousness facilitator, and I love the tools of access consciousness. So I'd like the whole world to know that this is available. But we have so much energy in us that even out of our hands, we can contribute to changing energy. Another magical tool. So what we did is contributed on 3, whatever the earth required, whatever other people required, that would allow the space of snow and play and ease with it, not married to a point of view. But we started doing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, literally like shooting energy out of your hands. And we do that to contribute to the earth. We do that. Anybody ever have like growing pains? If you have a kid and they begin to grow and something hurts, or maybe your back kind of catches or something's going on, you say, I have whatever. But what if that's not necessarily all there is? What if something or someone is communicating with you? So many times the earth asks of us for our magic and our contribution that we can be, through these physical intensities that we're not recognizing as intensities. We label them pain, but it doesn't have to be pain. We can ease that too with these same 1, 2, 3s. So it's a really, really cool tool to play with. But with this 1, 2, 3s, we did that. The temperature gauge in the car showed the outside temperature going from 3 to 2 to 1, and then it began to snow. My sister-in-law looked at me like, what on earth just happened? But it kept snowing because the kids were in this energy of, no, we'd love to have snow. And we were willing to contribute whatever the earth required and make it be ease and fun and joy for everyone. And it was so much fun. We actually got to sled and enjoy until so much snow had come into my daughter's legs, the way her snow pants were folded because she was small, that she said, I'm tired of the snow. I'm done with it. And within a few moments, the snow stopped. Now, it doesn't necessarily happen according to a schedule, the way we'd say, I'm landing in Toronto at such and such a time. I expect snow by 8 p.m. that night. The universe doesn't function that way. It doesn't go by a schedule, but it does respond to our asks. When we're willing to ask and play and not have a point of view, it is incredible how many beings, molecules, clouds, anything and everything else is there willing to contribute to you. And that's just in the case of snow. What would it be like if you began to ask with no point of view and total play in other areas of your life?
So, Rachel, let me. You have me in awe here, because let's start by the fact that I do believe that those things are possible, and you say just snow, but it's, to me, it's not just snow. It's a whole atmospherical phenomenon. So no, it's not just snow. It's like, and I've heard of many cases of, for example, intention or prayer can stop, a catastrophe like a hurricane or a tornado, things like that, and that we're actually able to modify the world around us.
Yeah.
Those who are, wise enough to know, or those who are so innocent that in the not knowing they actually create, which is all of us, because we're constantly creating probably very not desirable scenarios. So magic is there for everyone. And basically, the tools that you teach is how to use that magic, how to use that capability that the universe has to hear you, to feel you. You don't even need words. You just need the intention of, I love the word you said, playfulness. And let's not marry it to an outcome. But the truth is that it's more complicated because it is so hard for us not to have expectations. We always have that like preview, like that trailer of the future. We are addicted to knowing what's next. We are addicted to knowing if we're going to a party, at least me, I'm in my mind, I've never been to the place and I'm imagining the chairs, the tables, the people, how I'm gonna be. And when you get there and it's not exactly how you thought, it's like, oh, plot twist. What plot twist? You didn't even know what was there. So how do you help people remove that expectation, remove that need of knowing what the outcome is going to be, or controlling actually the outcome?
Well, when we actually go to control, we take play out of the equation totally. And we take ourselves out of the equation. And we make whatever, instead of the grandness of possibilities and universes, instead of infinite possibilities being available to us when we ask a question, we take everything and we shrink it down to something that we can handle. Like this package, this looks okay. I can handle this. But if it gets really big, that's when it gets dangerous. And that's actually when it's a lot more fun, because that's when you have the unexpected. And if you're willing to go with surprises, the unexpected can actually be so much fun.
Makes me think of, because I normally learn through analogies. I'm very, caricaturesque. So it makes me feel like when we're coming from the supermarket and we have 12 bags, 12 shopping bags, and we want to carry all of them. Two or three are going to fall, and it's going to be messy.
It's going
But
to be very
why,
messy.
if we go ahead and say, hey, butlers, go ahead and take care of me, help me with the bags, and I'm just going to be walking with you. Would that be a good analogy for it?
That would be pretty much like that. Yeah. Who's here to help? Who's here to contribute? And what contribution could I be to you as I'm walking with you with the bags? Dear butlers of the universe, I'll dance and keep you company. I'll be fun, vibrational energy that you're going to have so much fun with. Just, all of us doing this together. It's so much easier to actually receive the contribution that everything would like to be to us, rather than do this all by myself thing, and try to stand up on our own 2 feet. Like, can you imagine you put one foot on top of the other and probably fall flat on your face if you're trying to stand on your own 2 feet? What if everything is there to contribute when we actually ask a question? So we've actually got a magic wand in Access Consciousness, which I'd love to share with everybody. It's called the Clearing Statement officially. And if you go to theclearingstatement.com or accessconsciousness.com, you'll find a whole explanation of it. But in short, we've got two superpowers in it, POC and POD. POC is the point of creation. So you go back to the point of creation of a thought, a feeling, an emotion, a point of view, something that you've taken on. And POD is a point of destruction where you begin to destroy yourself to begin to fulfill whatever it is that you've taken on as a belief, which is really interesting because all of us as children, when we show up, we believe we're magic.
Let me please interrupt you because I need to. The point of destruction would be basically removing the limiting beliefs. Is that more or less what it
It's where
is?
you're destroying you in
Oh.
order to make yourself be like whatever it is that you've believed. So you've, for example, some math teacher told me in second or third grade that I wasn't good in math. Well, I took that and I planted it in me, and then I believed that I wasn't any good in math. The thing is, I found out later that I may not do it the way she does it, but I'm actually very able to play with numbers even in my head where there's a capacity there that I thought was a wrongness because it wasn't the way that she was necessarily teaching it. It wasn't according to the control, as you were saying earlier, the controlled outcome, the little box, it has to look a particular way. This was a little outside the box. So I believe there was a wrongness in me. And so I began to destroy myself and my capacities with math in order to make her point of view correct. So how much are we destroying ourselves to be able to live through the lies of others, that magic isn't real, that things aren't possible, that you have to be realistic once you turn, what is it, 5 or 6 that kids go to school? You have to get real. This is what you have to do. This is fact or fiction. Who says fiction is fiction?
You
What if
need to
fiction is
struggle and
true?
you need to fight to get wherever you need to go because
Blood, sweat, and
no
tears.
pain, no gain.
Yeah. And what if all those, you could say everything that is, use your superpowers, POC and POD, the magic wand of Access Consciousness. It's actually a longer clearing statement, right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9, shorts, boys and beyonds. It sounds like gobbledygook, but it's short speak for a whole lot of questions, and it changes the energy. So like what you were saying, we'd like to control everything going into a party. Okay, well, if you do that, it can only bring you disappointment when you don't get whatever it is, that outcome that you've decided you needed to have. So what if you say something, okay, all the expectations that I have, all the projections, all the fantasies that I have about how it has to be, who's going to speak to me, everything that I'm already creating in my head that I'm going to make myself disappointed by if it doesn't turn out exactly like that, I let it go. I destroy and uncreate it. I take it out of this fantasy story and I play with it. I de-story it, I destroy it, and I let it go. So now there's a space of possibilities available anytime anybody would like to play in that space. POC and POD. So all these expectations, all these projections about how it has to be, I let it go. I destroy and uncreate it, POC and POD. And it sounds weird, but it's super powerful. It opens up a space for you to not be limited, contracted, tiny, and controlled, but it opens up a phenomenal space for you to be able to play with the adventure of living and whatever it is that comes up.
It sounds like, for what I understand, that of course our brain, our mind is this software that is in charge of keeping our physical body safe. So it's the need of projecting, a possibility or projecting a scenario in which anything that happens, you have it under control. So this is something that has been with us for thousands of years. Thousands of years of evolution of needing to know what the weather is going to be, how we're going to be dressed, or what people we're going to be meeting, because it gives us a sense of being safe, but also, as you were saying, it's perfect for disappointment when things don't happen the way we want, unless we're
Exactly
pessimistic.
the way you
Unless we're
expect it.
pessimistics, and we always have that idea of things not going the way we want, and we get what we wanted. So you're
Or we
pessimistic.
could actually ask a question like, "Hey, if our body would like to be dressed in a particular way, if the weather is going to be a particular thing, we could ask our body, what do you know? What are you perceiving? Because our body's very aware of everything around us. Like, have you ever seen like dogs that know what the weather is going to be like, and they'll tuck in even before the rain?
Absolutely. Birds plan how many chicks they're going to have based on what the weather is going to be a year from that point.
Yeah,
So we're just
they will
disconnected.
tune in. And we've cut ourselves off from that because we're not recognizing the magic that we be and the information that we can have. Even when I travel, I'll ask my body, what do you know? What's the weather going to be like? Sure, I'll take my phone out and I'll look at, some sexy app that's going to tell me about the weather. But sometimes there's surprises. It's not always what we think it's going to be. So I ask my body, and my body always knows, hey, take this sweater or pack this thing. Ooh, let's take this with us when we go to such and such a trip. And it is amazing how our body is so aware of exactly what is going to happen or exactly what's required when we are willing to listen. And that's those molecules coming in and being able to contribute to us. We're not heads on sticks. We have access to everything, being willing to communicate and to contribute if we allow that in.
I like a lot what you're saying. And let me ask you something. How did you learn this? What brought you to learning these type of techniques and being so engaged and
Magic.
so happy about it? Because I see people every day with similar topics. Not everyone has the joy you have, because it looks like you're having a great time with your techniques.
I am. They're not my techniques. There are thousands of facilitators all over the planet playing with this. I discovered Access Consciousness in 2010 when I'll go back a couple of years before then. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I found a doula at a lake that we were visiting. She was visiting as well in Atitlan. And she was French, so she would speak with an accent like this. And she told me, "You are very pregnant." I said, "Yes, I can see, I'm looking, I can definitely see I'm pregnant." And she said, "When you are going to give birth, visualize yourself as big as a dahlia, and the baby will come out with no problem." Okay. Okay, interesting. And she had mentioned a lady that wrote a book called Spiritual Midwifery. That was the beginning of me recognizing that I could be a different energy and invite a different possibility in. So it began then with the pregnancy, which was really awesome, in my parents' house, in water. Baby just shot out. There was no, here's the head, here's this, here's that. It was because there was so much of this space of, I have no idea what this is going to be like, but sure, let's draw dahlia flowers that are really big and babies' heads that are really small, whatever. So I began to use those kind of playful tools to recognize that I'm actually more than I realized before, and that my ask is different. Now, I didn't have those words for it. I didn't have those kinds of tools, but I recognized that I co-create my reality. So that was the beginning of it for me. And then in 2010, I heard Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, on a podcast, and I was fascinated. And then I heard another facilitator, and I thought, they're talking about this thing that makes you happy. This thing that's 32 points on the head, and you touch them lightly, and you get happy. I thought, okay, that's interesting. I've been on antidepressants most of my life. I've been, miserable the majority of my adult life. Can't lose. What can I lose if I just play with this? And so I found someone in Houston who ran my bars. I took a class, and I was fascinated because the tools are irreverent, they're silly, they're easy, they're pragmatic, they're fun, and they're playful, and they invite they are questions. No one in Access will tell you what you have to do. And so all the facilitators do is ask you questions. Notice that's what I did when I was playing with the snow as well. Ask questions. The magic is in being you, being willing to choose what works for you. And what's true for you will always make you feel expanded and joyful and light. Notice the word enlightenment is lightness. It's not about struggling and judging yourself and, feeling down and heavy and gravity and all of that. That stuff, that contraction is not yours. So, how many other people's lives are you trying to make real by force and effort and blood, sweat, and tears that don't have anything to do with you? And how much more ease can you have in life when you're willing to be you? And that was the invitation that I had found.
It's more or less, goes very close to the question that I wanted to ask you. Because, okay, we're able to create, we agree on that. How do you handle something that at least happens to me, that sometimes you say, why if this desire that I have is not good for everyone? Because I may struggle with that. Like, why if this thing I want, it's not necessarily good for the people around me? And I tend to struggle thinking about not really knowing what's best for me. So you let it out on the universe too, but you don't ask. It's that fear of asking, for not knowing if what you're asking is good.
Well, what if it doesn't have to be good or bad? In that gobbledygook sentence that I gave before the clearing statement, we say right and wrong, good and bad. Because it's not about either end of the polarity, is what is available everywhere else when we're not stuck anchored to right and wrong or good and bad. What if we ask, what is going to create the most ease here? What is going to create more space here? And if it's light, that's actually your truth. So if you ask a question, what will the world be like in 5 years if I choose whatever that choice is? If I ask this, what would the world be like in 5 years or 50 years or 500 years? See, it even goes beyond you, because whatever you ask ripples into the world and into the future as well. So, what if your choice and your being willing to be all of you and be the greatness of you is actually an invitation for the future and for everyone else to see, wow, we could have things that are joyful for us too. This world is not built on being magic. This world is built on staying small and controlled and predictable and real. So, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice can you be to be out of control, out of definition, out of form, out of structure, out of significance, out of linearities, and out of concentricities, and have way more fun than is even permitted or allowed, with ease, joy, and glory now and in the future? And anything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, podpoc, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And that is how the access consciousness clearings work. They invite you, you ask a question, energy comes up, you're willing to shift it with that magic wand of the clearing statement, which we use the POC and POD earlier for short, but go to theclearingstatement.com or accessconsciousness.com and you'll get more information there. But it is fantastic because you take a layer off of whatever's been keeping you in that box. And the more of those layers you take off, it's kind of like you peel something that's not you, that you've taken on as a mask, thinking that it's you, or thinking that if I be this kind of woman or this kind of mother or this kind of daughter or this kind of wife, then everybody else will be happy all around me. Then life will go well because I'm going to contort myself to fit into whatever is going to please everybody else. But where are you in that equation? And if you're a miracle walking and you're not being yourself there, present, alive, vibrant, and an inspiration for others as well, the world is missing that unique flavor that only you can bring, being the miracle of you. You would not be alive on this planet today if you didn't have something, yourness, your beingness, to contribute. And the world is waiting for each one of us not to be a duplicate of somebody else, but to be ourselves and to be that joyfully.
Have any other, let's say it a ritual, but we know it's not actually a ritual, but you have any other way to shift the energy? Because we've been always talking that the proper way to ask is from a point of, from an intention of openness, of yes, I'm safe, yes, I am allowed to play and explore because all my needs are covered. What
Yeah.
is there anything that you use to put yourself in that mental state or emotional state?
Well, I actually don't really get into that mental state or emotional state because for me, the moment I speak about safety, if I try to protect myself or I try to be safe or I even judge energy in general as being good or bad, that's one of the things we do in a bars class is we speak about energy is just energy. There isn't good energy or bad energy. And if you're willing to receive anything and everything and allow the mantra of access is all of life comes with ease, joy, and glory. Notice I said all of life. So everything, if we're allowing it to go with ease, joy, and glory, we don't have to protect or make ourselves safe. And it goes in contra to a lot of other things that people say you have to protect yourself when you do energy work or when you do things. No, what I do is just allow everything to flow. I'm like an open window, and anything and everything can flow through me. And if I'm willing, anything and everything can contribute to me as well. If I don't make a point of view of that's bad, I have to stop it, I have to prevent it. If I have to be careful, or I tell my kids as they're climbing on structures to be careful, they're suddenly looking for where they can fall or where something can hurt them rather than, hey, kiddo, just be aware. Awareness is open. It's not looking for a problem, which then invites a problem in. It's actually being open for all possibilities. And that's a totally different way of functioning. So that's one thing. The space is a little bit different because it's not looking for safety and it's not looking to fulfill a need. I don't look for a need. The need is a lacking of something for me. The way I see it, a need is like a void that you have to fulfill. What if we didn't actually need anything? If we're infinite and if we're infinite beings, everything and anything is contributing to us anytime we'd like it to or we'd allow it to. So, what if we actually don't need anything? And what if nothing is unbelievable? I don't know if you saw the movie Star Wars. If you hadn't, Yoda isms are so much fun. But when Luke Skywalker is visiting Yoda there in the swamp and they're trying to lift up the fighter jet, there's a scene on YouTube. Somebody can look at just that if they don't want to see the whole movie, but the movies are fun. But he's lifting up use the force, Luke, use the force. And he's trying to lift, he's trying. Notice he's not doing, and that's why Yoda says, do or do not. There is no
There
try.
is no try.
Because when you're trying, you're so fixated on that trying, you're in this limbo state. You're not actually doing it. So beyond the
Trying in
what
a way implies effort, right? If you're trying, you're making an effort, and when you enter the idea of an effort, it's there's some friction on it, right?
yeah, and not only that, but trying actually means you're not accomplishing. You're not getting to whatever it is that you'd like to get to. How can you not accomplish and accomplish at the same time? It's not possible. I can say, okay, try to stand up. So I'm standing up. Cute belly. So I'm standing up. But I'm not trying to stand up. If I say try to stand up, that means I would never stand up. And it's a choice. And we do that so many times. We use that as a reason and justification to not do something rather than just choosing it and just having it and just being willing to be it. Hence magic, be it, because you are it. Allow yourself to be it. Acknowledge that when you were a kid, you were willing to play and you were willing to believe and you were willing to ask the fairies and the blades of grass and anything and everything to communicate with you and play with you. And then you went to school and somehow, became realistic. And so things just looked a little bit different. But for me, asking a question is one of the greatest gifts that you can have and be. The clearing statement is something that is absolutely magical. When I get up in the morning or I don't feel so energized, what I do is I use the clearing statement and I destroy and uncreate. Remember, destroy. If you've got a box of Legos and you're building a structure and you'd like something different in your life, you destroy that structure, to be able to create something different. It's not anything evil or bad or whatever. You're just letting go of that, which many times may be according to the instructions, or it may be according to somebody else's point of view or something that works for them and doesn't have anything to do with you necessarily or what you may have liked. So by taking it apart, you can create something different. And like I said, all the molecules are willing to contribute to you if you're willing to receive. So I destroy and uncreate whoever I was yesterday. And whatever my decisions were, whatever my expectations were, whatever my stories were, I let it go. And when I'm not carrying the overweight baggage of the past, then I can choose a new future. And that future is just this 10 seconds, this moment, this now. I don't have to worry about what will be. If I ask a question and I choose lightness, something that if I choose this, what will the universe be like in the next, 5 years, 50 years, 500 years? And it's light, I'm going there. And if it's contracted, okay, another choice. So I tap into the future, but I'm not living in the future. I'm here and now in these 10 seconds, willing to play. And when I destroy and uncreate what I was yesterday, now I've got the space of being. So what can I be and do different today to be and create and generate magic right away? And what contribution can I be to the world?
I really like what you're doing, and I can't wait to probably start using some of those tips to ensemble old principles and old beliefs that are no longer of service. But okay, we know how to create what we want. We know how to make something we're curious about. We just ask, how would it be if I had this or this or that, right? How would I feel? And then
Yeah,
by that
what would it be
feeling,
like?
you invite the universe to show you how it feels. And probably, I guess, I'm actually guessing that when that happens, if you respond with gratitude and joy, well, the universe says, okay, do you want more? And we keep rolling, right?
We keep
How
rolling. Yeah.
about, what do you do when, because I understand that we are creating either by action or omission. We're always creating. If by omission at a certain point we create something that we don't like at all, there is a situation in our lives that we call a problem, let's call it uh, maybe with couples issues or a health problem, education, whatever. How would you help someone that is facing a problem in their life?
Well, first of all, I would actually wonder what makes it a problem. And this is really interesting because we tend to lump things into calling them a problem. And if we're willing to begin to peel the layers of what we call a problem there, we'll notice that there's a possibility that we may be avoiding. And I'm a little bit of an ADD brain, so I tend to bounce around in different topics. Pull me back saying before with creating, because there is a tool that we use. We call it the energy ball, although it's not really a ball, but we just play with the words.
Let's say
uh,
bubble.
Bubble ball magic thing. It's a lot of fun, and we'll do that maybe towards the end to invite energies into people's lives and to invite the energy of a possibility rather than a problem as well, which would be really cool. So everything that we're looking at as a problem, if we'd be willing to actually turn and look at it from a different perspective, right? Things are not always what they seem. We have a fantastic tool we call the crazy phrase in Access, which is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So we may look at something, and it may look a particular way this way, but if we just change our perspective or change our point of view, what if it isn't necessarily that? So if we're willing to just give ourselves that space to just know that it may not be all that it's cracked up to be, what else is possible with this that we haven't considered is possible with this? That if we just be willing to allow in those possibilities, would actualize a different reality. It would give a space, an opening to a doorway of possibilities that we may not even realize can exist.
So maybe by, sorry that I'm interrupting you. So maybe by integrating the idea of the fact that I may not be understanding what I'm seeing. I think A Course of Miracles has a very interesting statement that says, I don't understand anything of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So I integrate the idea of the fact that maybe this thing that it's presented in front of me is not exactly, maybe I'm in, the interpretation that I'm given to
Yeah.
it, it's not exactly what it is. That would be a tool that you use for people to face a challenge.
To look at things in a different way. If you look at things from a very, you're really in it at the moment. It's kind of like being an ant and you're walking around carrying the little leaf or a little crumb of something on your back, if we're speaking metaphorically, and you're walking around and come across a rock or a log or something else. And to you, it looks immense. It looks like a big problem. It's blocking your path. It's definitely there. It's physical. It's there. You call it a problem, but the ant may see it as something huge. We, from a person perspective, looking down, see, oh, if you just walk a few minutes that way and turn left, not a problem. You just pass it. You just go around whatever that is. So I wonder how many abilities we have to get around and to go around what looks like a difficulty or a problem if we're willing to recognize that it may not be what it looks like at this level of sight. If we take a step back and just, what if I look at it in a different way? Interesting point of view, that I have this point of view that this is a problem. And if I didn't think that, what else could it be? What gift is in this situation? What gift is in this that I may not have recognized? We were speaking with a friend yesterday who was asking us about something that occurred 15 years ago. And my father said, oh, it was terrible. But you know what? It may have been a difficult situation for a few years, but what it has unfolded to is some of the biggest gifts that you can imagine that would have never occurred had we not gone through that process. I too was divorced previous before my husband and the kids that we have. I was married to someone else, and I thought my life was going to be over when I went through the divorce. But now I recognize that there were so many gifts in that situation for me that I would have never in my life seen at that moment from that little ant perspective. But with that space of time, they say time heals all wounds, right? Because that you have a space and you're willing to see things from a different perspective. Things that seem negative may be your greatest gifts. There's a lot of people who have cancer who say that they would never trade it in for anything because they've some of their greatest learning, some of their greatest changes, some of their greatest choices they've made through having this that they wouldn't have never had if they didn't have it. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and get any sort of diseases or anything like that. No. What if we didn't have to have the challenges and we could just choose the possibilities without having to have quote unquote problems? But what if a problem is not as sticky as we think it is? By our thinking, we make it more so. If we take that step back, we allow it to unfold and find that possibility in it that's just waiting for us.
I think I definitely agree with you. For what I have seen, the biggest achievements or accomplishments or the treasures of the heart come after the dark night. But why wait, right? If we can learn before, why wait until our world is
Yes.
shaken? What is the
That,
most normal thing that people will go to for? Because there's always these top three things that people will try and find you. Help me create X, Y, and Z. What is it?
usually things with relationships, with money. Oh, that's a favorite. Everybody has their letting money choose for them rather than them choosing, what money they may like to have in their life, and permission to choose. With women in particular, there's a lot of permission to choose. And really, I can choose this. I'm allowed to have pleasure. I'm allowed to include myself in my life and not live only for other people. And that's been really, really interesting as well. And so let's just kind of wave that magic wand and say, everybody's got permission. Now, what can we all choose that's going to create a greater world when we're willing to choose it? So let me know whenever. Oh, I don't know how much longer we have, but I don't want to forget that bubble.
Well, you know what? Actually, we are ready to close. And since I was actually going to ask you to leave us with something from your heart, let's go ahead and create the bubble. I'm ready.
All right.
Couldn't be ready, Air.
Yay! So if you're watching this, you can do this with your eyes closed. You can do this with your eyes open, whatever works for you. Sometimes I close my eyes. So if I close my eyes on you guys, just hey. And imagine a bubble in front of you. Imagine this space in front of you that's just filled with amazing light and sparkles and is just beautiful. And it's just asking you, what would you like to create in your life and living? What would you enjoy? How much magic and ease and joy would you like? And sure, you can put there a BMW or a car that's a fun ride or whatever it is that you'd like to have in the future. Or you can put things that are more like joy and ease and great health and fun relationships and laughter and experiences with friends. Whatever works for you, put it in there. How much joy would you have? It's not the things themselves. It's like Mirna was saying, the feeling of having those things. Like when you have a certain amount of money, or when you have, suddenly there's a space of ease. I don't have to worry anymore. I know I have more money than I could ever spend, and still more coming in, still never enough. So more comes in and it's more than I can spend. There's an ease and a relaxation about it. That's what I'd like you to tap into. That what gives you that feeling, that joy, that lightness, that smile, that's the space and the truth of you. Put that in, whatever that is. If it looks like things, if it looks like experiences, if it looks like feelings, whatever that will bring a smile to your face, whatever job lights you up when you go out and wake up in the morning and you enjoy interacting with people, maybe friendships that are absolutely fantastic, trips and adventures around the world, whatever works for you, put that into the bubble. Put that into that magical glittering space. All those feelings, all that just amazingness, yeah? And now we're going to invite those conscious molecules, everything around us, to begin to contribute. So we're going to pull in energy, literally just asking. Notice, ask and you shall receive, right? So we're going to ask for energy from everywhere in the universe, everywhere, 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 to go into this amazing, yummy bubble, to pull into it and pull in through us as well. So into the bubble, into us, and out. We are never beginning or end points of energy. Energy just keeps moving. So we're going to keep pulling it from everywhere in the universe, from all directions, through this bubble, through us, and out. And keep pulling and pulling. We're not done yet. Make it bigger. Make it bigger. Keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. You'll feel your heart opening up. Now, let's send out little tiny trickles, little droplets of energy out to anyone or anything that can contribute to you having those feelings, those experiences, that magic in your life. And as soon as they contact you, equalize the flow. And when you do this pull, when you do this, the universe and all the molecules out there know that this is what you'd like. And it may not show up tomorrow, but it will show up. So be willing to receive it and be willing to acknowledge that you asked for it and you created it. And that we call the energy ball exercise. And if you do that every few days, it's amazing how much more ease and joy you'll have in your life.
I love it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Rachel, where can our audience find you?
They can find me on Facebook, the Joy of Being, Rachel Silber, Joy of Being on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram, Joy of Being on Instagram as well, I think, ubjoy.com. They can find me on the Access Consciousness website as well. I have a profile there too. I have a channel on YouTube where I'll be posting this as well. They're welcome to find me there too, and connect, right? Let me know how this contributed, and I am willing to contribute anywhere and everywhere around the world.
Again, Thank you for allowing the Mindalia TV cameras being a channel for your ideas. And thank you for accepting our English invitation. You have been in a couple
You
times with
thank
us
you.
in Spanish, and we're very thankful to our audience, of course. Thank you for being with us. Remember, not leaving without liking, subscribing, and we actually invite you to also like and subscribe to our Spanish channel, Mindalia Televisión, and our Portuguese channel, Mindalia Televisao. We're sending you again a great big hug from our heart to yours. And with gratitude, we say bye and until next time.